We're now on page 19, the subject of undo and redo. Well, I do hope you've been enjoying everything up to this point, and probably from this point we're now going to start to branch into a little bit more of some very important things. Undo and redo are going to become your best friends. You will use this probably much more than anything else, and you've seen me use Control Z or Control Z a number of times already. Well, this business card that you can see here is a design that we're going to, in the next few lessons, begin to create, because it will comprise a lot of all of the skills we've learnt and are about to learn. So before we do jump into the other areas of learning, I want to quickly highlight to you the importance of undoing and understanding it. Now, with this business card, let's just simply assume a few things. We've done a design, we're happy with our design, but we want to make some changes. So I'm going to select that and make it black in color. I'll select that bottom bit of text, maybe make that yellow in color. And I think what I'll do is just move things around a little bit. And ultimately what I'm trying to do is just create some changes so I can demonstrate the power of undo. I'll select that and maybe skew it up a little bit. Click again, resize back a bit. And ultimately I'm just kind of really truly messing things up, aren't I? I might change that to a green color. And after I finish playing with all of those things, maybe I'll select the outline around the outside, right click, and I'll make that a yellow color. Now, I've done all of these things, and then I decide to myself, I'm not happy. What did it look like before? Because I've gone so far and I can't remember. Well, there are a number of ways to undo. Control Z, as you've seen me do, and I'm going to do that now. Finger on Control, and tap the Z key. And every time I tap it, automatically it undoes a step, and it will keep undoing all the way back to the beginning of my design based on how many undo levels I have set. This is very important. Up to Tools and Options, and under Options, if we go to Workspace and General, you can see the number of undo levels. Now I have mine set fairly high, about 120. Sometimes I set it to 150. By default, it's not set that high. So I'd recommend that you come in and you make some alterations. At least a minimum of 100 steps is what I would do. But if you have a slow machine that doesn't have a lot of memory, this area can affect the memory usage. So just bear that in mind. But if you've got a reasonably new machine, I would go with a minimum of 100 steps. Click OK. Now, as you saw, I just used Control Z to undo, but I can redo all of those steps, Control, Shift, and Z. So Control, and then finger on Shift, and then Z. And now, as you can see, I'm re-implementing those changes as I keep tapping, and then I'll get to a point where I'm tapping continually now, and I've got to the end. So that's undo and redo, really powerful stuff. However, you may find that after doing 100 steps of something that you think, gee, Control Z is going to take me a while. Well, there are some easier ways. Up here on the property bar, we have a redo and an undo arrow. So for example, if I click the undo arrow, watch the card, in the same way as I do Control Z, it's undoing all of the steps one at a time based on the amount of available undos I have set, which we just looked at in Options. In the same way, I can redo. Click the arrow and just redo. Now you might find this easier than going Control Z on your keyboard. I have formed the habit of using Control Z, and I guess that's why I find that easy. So I can redo all of those steps. Once it becomes grayed out, well, I've used up all of the steps. Another way of doing things is to use this little drop down. Now I've highlighted that for you here. You can use this little drop down and you can go to any point. So it lists for you all of the things that you've done. And if I were to go back to my first point, so click here, can you see automatically it undoes straight to that point. And if I go to the redo, go all the way to the bottom, and I can click there and I can redo all the way back to that point. Back to undo, and I can pop in the middle somewhere. So say I move to this point where skew is. If I can remember some of the things that I've done, at least I can jump throughout my list and have a look, as you can see there. Go back, redo everything, or come back here and just undo everything. So that's undo and redo. So why don't you have a play? Just mix it all up everywhere you can and try all of the undo options and redo options.